Depression can sometimes be really bad, so I've actually been in bed for a few days straight just because of how hard things have been. I'm doing a little bit better, these things come and go. But what I wanted to talk about is something that I've wanted to honestly say something about for a really long time. It's been hard for me to find the right words, and I think that the actress Uma Thurman put it a really good way. She said when she was asked about the car accident that happened during the filming of Kill Bill, that when I feel less angry, I will know when I can express myself. Those weren't her exact words. I'm kind of just, loosely quoting her, but I really thought that was really profound and gracious to say. So, with that being said, it's taken me kind of a while to just be able to be okay with this and accept it. I'm going to just talk about the Jehovah's Witnesses because I was unfortunately raised in that cult. And it is a cult. And I'm going to explain to you why it's a cult, why it's not Christianity, and why they should not have their tax exemption. From the second that you were born, you were told from the Jehovah's Witness Church that you can only trust other Jehovah's Witnesses. Everybody else is a worldly person. And anybody who's worldly is not a friend of Jehovah. Those are the words that they use. They're very good at it, okay? Especially think about how that is going to affect a child, okay? They are going to take this stuff so seriously. And I can tell you, it's going to cause a lot of emotional issues. I do not know one single Jehovah's Witness that has been raised in the cult that actually does not need therapy. I can admit that I need therapy because what they put me through was unbelievably horrific. When I tell you, and I'm not trying to say that they're all bad people, I think that religion can really, feed off of broken families and people that have tragedies. So I don't fault people for I guess falling for what the Jehovah's Witnesses will preach, because it kind of, I can see how it appeals to some people. The terms that they use inside of the cult, such as the truth. We, as Jehovah's Witnesses, are the only ones that know the truth. You guys don't. So it makes us, I guess part of it is trying, making it like a very us against the world type of mentality. So you're told you can only trust Jehovah's Witnesses. And when you start school, who are you around? Is there going to be a Jehovah's Witness in your classroom? Probably not. I didn't have a Jehovah's Witness in my classrooms any time that I was in there. And you're actually not just encouraged to, but you're actually told it's a mission statement for you to convert your own classmates because you're saving their lives. Remember, if you're not Jehovah's friend, you're not going to make it through the New Order. And the New Order is this apocalyptic event that's going to happen any minute. It's supposed to happen any minute. We've been waiting for it for over 5,000 years, and nothing's happened. But yeah, apparently, just randomly, any second now, I guess the skies are going to part. There's going to be some sort of protective bubble for Jehovah's Witnesses, I guess. And it's just going to pour brimstone, I guess, and everybody that's not a Jehovah's Witness is going to die a really horrible death. You're told that. Not only are you told that, but you're shown very graphic depictions. They have artists within the Jehovah's Witness cult. They have people that work on those creepy ass cartoons, Caleb and Sophia. Learn how to be Jehovah's friend. Those things are incredibly disturbing. You can find them on YouTube. It's not hard to at all. You can find, the things that they say in those movies and in those skits and everything. I wish that was satire, but it's not. It's totally true. So if you do watch, like, the first Caleb and Sophia video, which, this is what they use to indoctrinate children. This is it's animated and stuff, and it's not real, but they present it to you as a kid as, like, your equivalent of, like, Saturday morning cartoons. So you are really separated from the world. You're not allowed to celebrate anything. You're not allowed to celebrate your birthday. You're not allowed to celebrate Christmas. I mean, people are like, Thanksgiving? And I'm like, if we can't celebrate Christmas, what makes you think we can celebrate Thanksgiving? No, you don't celebrate anything. Nothing. No Valentine's Day, no anniversary, zero, nothing. So I think that really sucks, because you are told participating in birthdays is inherently sinful. Their reasoning behind that is because every time that a birthday has been mentioned in the Bible, something bad has happened. That's their belief. That when you actually ask what their reasons are behind their beliefs and you figure it out, you're probably going to feel the way that I did. I was a very angry person, finding out that my childhood had been taken away from me, and instead I was being treated like a missionary that was off to save the heathens. Literally. I mean, if you've seen the movie Saved, it was almost like they wanted us to all be Hillary Faye. It was really disgusting. I cannot tell you how yucky it makes me feel to admit this and to say this out loud. And anybody that knew me as a kid, especially before, like, 3rd grade, I am so sorry for ever even mentioning it. They brainwashed me. I was indoctrinated, okay? Like, and not only that, but they scare you into it, okay? You are told, if you do not follow the laws of Jehovah to the T, you are going to worse than eternal hellfire, okay? Like, the Jehovah's Witnesses are insane, and they teach this stuff to children, okay? I'm not lying. They tell this stuff to 5-year-olds. That is not okay. How can you get away with telling a 5-year-old that Armageddon is going to come anytime? They're not allowed to talk to anybody that isn't in the cult, and they need to worry about, this apocalypse, and they need to also find any way possible to convert as many people and do anything to convert these people. Field service, which they don't really do much anymore, was going to, your door, knocking on your door and being like, would you like a pamphlet or whatever? We hated doing that. Any kid that you see, oh my God, they're probably wishing something. I'm not going to say it out loud, but they're probably wishing the same thing I was wishing. And it takes away your childhood. It really does. You don't have a childhood. You're not a child. You're a disciple. You're the savior. And you're told that the truth, which is what they believe in, all that stuff. When I say the truth, that's what they call it. So, I'm using the actual terms so that if you do choose to look up the Jehovah's Witnesses, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'd also like to say that they're full of fucking pedophiles, sex offenders, pedophiles, disgusting molesters. It is unbelievable. You can look up Jehovah's Witnesses and sex abuse and childhood sex abuse. You'll be surprised and horrified at how common it is. And that's because they have this thing within them. It's called a 2-witness rule, which basically means that one Jehovah's Witness cannot blab on another Jehovah's Witness unless another Jehovah's Witness approves that blabbing. So there's so many dark secrets in every congregation. Congregation is what they call a church. In every church, I can promise you, there is some really dark stuff going on. These people beat their kids senseless. I was beaten senseless as a kid, okay? I was whipped with a belt like I was a slave that had to build the pyramids, like, they really like to show you the violence in the Jehovah's Witnesses, sermons and everything. So when I saw pictures of the slaves and everything like that, I was like, oh, that feels a little familiar. Yeah, you're actually totally encouraged to hit your children. And not only that, but they will protect you. They will. Yeah, they will actually hide abuse, and they will lie to cover up abuse from other people. That's why they get away with it for a lot. Because if you're a child and you try to go to somebody that you trust, and that person ends up betraying your trust and going to your abuser and empowering them, you see how that works? Yeah, that's exactly what they do. And these people do not deserve a tax exemption because they're child molesters and rapists. Okay, I will never, I don't know if I will ever be able to actually speak publicly and candidly about what they did to me, but I can say they passed me around like a rag doll. Yeah. I don't know how to really say it any other way. I was felt up by so many gross people. It's actually really, well, I mean, I've always been honest about like my journey to recovery and in therapy and everything. But this is why I'm so grateful for my first therapist, Dr. Celio, because I was afraid that, maybe those things could have been passed on to me or something. I didn't want to continue the cycle of abuse. I'm glad I didn't. But that's what they do. That's who these people are. When you see them on the streets and everything like that, you now know their secrets, because I'm telling you their secrets. I used to actually be pretty elite in the Kingdom Hall. Yeah, that's what they call the Kingdom Hall, the cult of the Jehovah's Witnesses. Yeah, because, I was a obedient child. I mean, when you beat and verbally abuse and scream and, destroy a child's self-esteem, they're probably going to be a little bit more compliant. So yeah, I was a compliant little soldier. I did what I was told. I didn't know any better. And honestly, I didn't really think that I deserved any better. Because if there's another thing this cult does really well, is make you feel bad about yourself. And how many ways you're failing. And how many ways you're letting Jehovah down. And all this kind of stuff. It's not true. Okay? I know it's not true because God is supposed to be better than we are. Okay? That means that God is going to be more loving, more forgiving, more compassionate than an average human being is. All right? So let's follow that, train of logic. Am I going to be offended if you don't sing me praises every single day, even if I gave you life? Let's say that, I'm your dad or whatever. That would make me a bad dad. That would make me an asshole as a dad. I'd be a horrible dad if I wanted to always be praised and glorified. Meanwhile, there's so many contradictions and hypocrisy within it. They say that we're not allowed to celebrate birthdays because it is glorifying oneself. But you're supposed to glorify your parents every day. I don't know. Something really weird about that. And never question anything. And just do what you're told. And get beaten. And get told that you don't listen. And have nobody believe you. And you feel stuck. You're in a cult. They have isolated you. You probably didn't even, maybe even have social skills. And they made it so that you felt like you couldn't connect to any other child. And you get extremely isolated. Fortunately, I didn't have that happen to me. I liked my classmates, and I didn't care if they were Jehovah's Witnesses or not, even though I did believe in their bullshit. I really just, thought at that time that when the New Order came, that they would, listen to me. Oh my God. See how pompous that is? See how sick that is? That's not a healthy mindset. That's like antisocial with a tinge of narcissism. That's really disgusting. It's sick. And you're supposed to, they want you to wallow in that. They want you to say and to feel like, I'm in the truth. I'm better than you. I'm morally superior. I'm a Jehovah's Witness. I don't do anything wrong. What are you? A Catholic? Oh, you guys are horrible. Christian? Oh, you guys are horrible. Yeah. That's what they do. It's ridiculous. It's like, don't throw rocks when you have glass houses. And your glass house as Jehovah's Witnesses are the numerous childhood sexual abuse scandals that have happened that you tried to cover up because you're fucking disgusting pedophiles. And you're a cult of pedophiles. I'm not going to ever pretend that it's not the way that it is. And I'm going to be honest about it. And I'm never going to lie or pretend that there's something that they're not. They are rapists. They are disgusting. They are not good people. And they do not carry the word of God. That is such a laugh. They don't carry the word of God. They're more satanic than a lot of other people are that don't follow any religion. Yeah, absolutely. They are satanic. Everything about them is evil, manipulative, and divisive. You're literally told you can't trust anybody in the world. You need to convert people. You need to change people's minds. That's all on you. That's your goal. That's your responsibility. And you cannot let worldly people into your life, which didn't work out well for me because I'm sorry, there's no Jehovah's Witness like utopia town where everybody exists and stuff. You can't put me into a public school with 1,500 kids and expect me not to, want to be friends with them. But if they had their way, I wouldn't have had any friends at all. And I think that is really fucked up. The fact that they are okay with isolating children, it gives me such bad heartburn because I worry and I really feel bad for any child that is being held captive, I would say, and held hostage at these kingdom halls. They're being trafficked. They're not being, they don't want to actually go to these places. Trust me. They're being taken there by their handlers. And their handlers could be their parents. It's a cult. Family cruelty is embedded within it. I'm a survivor of it. I'm here to tell you that family cruelty within the Jehovah's Witnesses, they do it better than nobody else. They do it better. Disfellowshipping people is standard. That means to basically, cut off somebody. They don't exist anymore. They're a lost cause. You've pretty much sacrificed them to Satan. And it's not just gay people. They just love to go after gay people. So I happen to be an example of that, which is why I was thrown out of the house and left on my own and, wandered the streets of the rainy Seattle and all that kind of stuff when my parents should have been looking out for me. And they weren't because they weren't good parents. But whatever. That's just how that is. And it just really disgusts me to honestly look back at how I was raised, to know how much I was lied to, and having so much of my life planned out for me and everything and not having any choice or any say. I felt I was super suicidal. I'm not lying here. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Honestly, I know suicide attempts are high in the Jehovah's Witnesses, and I'm not surprised. It's a very horrible environment I don't think any child should ever have to go through. There's no light. There's no, I mean, people will say, light at the end of the tunnel. There's no tunnel that has the end. It's just, it's an endless, dark abyss of things that are going to just mentally scar you. I mean, you're stifled in so many ways. They don't want you to go to college because they want you to instead be a pioneer. And a pioneer is a talking piece for Jehovah's Witness. Basically, you're just trying to recruit people. They want you to be a pioneer. That wasn't going to happen. They said that, I shouldn't want to be making movies or working in acting or especially modeling. So that is my way of saying fuck you to the Jehovah's Witnesses every single time that I've gone in front of the camera, and usually I've requested my music choices, and it can be anything. I mean, sometimes I listen to I love Britney Spears, so people know that. So yeah, so I mean, for my last photo shoot I was playing Work Bitch, and you can probably see that I'm like a different person when I model. I'm a different person because I have a different motivation. My motivation as a model is to fight and dismantle and just do everything that I can to rebel against what they did to me and what they wanted me to be and what I was told I couldn't be, and the amount of control and the amount of power and influence and how trapped I was for so much of my life. I didn't know, I was a Jehovah's Witness up until I was thrown out of the house, pretty much, I guess. I mean, I started questioning things a lot. I mean, things just didn't make sense. They say in the Jehovah's Witness world that the world is 5,000 years old. That's not possible. The gemstones in this necklace are older than that. That's proof. That's why jewelry got that's why I'm into jewelry and everything like that, because honestly, it was because of jewelry and knowing how gemstones form that I was able to say, you're full of shit. This is not a 5,000-year-old world, okay? You're full of shit. Stop lying, okay? Seriously, you're not good at it. Because you guys don't have any science to back up anything that you say. Oh, another thing that I love to point out about them. They say that the flood that happened, that, Noah's Ark is a part of and stuff like that, it had never rained before then. Really? So the water cycle and the way that science works, and convection and evaporation and condensation, all of that, just came to exist. It wasn't science, it was magic by Jehovah. Yeah, by Jehovah, because Jehovah said it was okay. Thank you, Jehovah. Thank you so much. No, I'm sorry. Also, I talk to God, and whenever I've talked to God, because I do pray, God always told me, this is not the truth. This is not the truth. And I'm glad, because you know what? I think that I do have a relationship with God. I think everybody can have a relationship with God, but I think that my relationship with God was able to tell me that they were lying about him. If you want to think about it that way. I don't give God a gender. If anything, I will actually refer to God as a female. Mostly to upset the Jehovah's Witnesses in a sense, but also for feminism reasons. So yeah, I mean, they will tell you that God is a very angry man, that that Jehovah is this really angry man that is just I can't even describe it. He's so vengeful, he's so angry, and he's so petty. It's ridiculous. And that's not what God is. I I call God Yahweh because that's the closest translation that we do have, I suppose. You know, like tracing back and everything. I do know that the word Jehovah comes from German influences because they didn't have the G's or the J's back then. There's a lot of things that, there's a really dark history behind Jehovah's Witnesses. Oh, it's so depressing and it's so disgusting. They really are just, it's so gross. And I will talk more about it. I need to get my thoughts together. And I need to kind of, just really be as clear as possible, because I don't have anything to lie about, and there's a lot of other people that have survived paradise, as we like to say it, and trust me, these Jehovah's Witnesses are not good people. They take away your childhood. They want to take away everything. They don't want to, they're not content with your childhood. They're literally soul eaters. They want to take away your teenage soul, your adult soul, and so on and so forth. They don't want you to be independent. They just want you to be controlled and molested and raped, and they'll lie to make sure of it. It's called the 2-witness rule. You can Google it and you can see exactly what it is, and I'm only exposing the truth right now. So you can look up everything that I've talked about and you can fact check me. If I'm lying, feel free to call me out. If you find any evidence that says that I'm a liar, go ahead, tell me. But I don't think that you will, because I lived it. I was there. I saw it. And I saw what they did. And I will never forget. So, all that I have to say is, the Jehovah's Witnesses, you've made a really bad enemy. I don't forget things. I've got a really good memory. And I don't think that you should be protected. I think that you guys are disgusting. And I think that honestly, you should have everything taken away from you. Just like you did with every child that you took away their life, their hope, and their creativity, and their passion. It's wrong. It's so wrong. I don't know. I mean, this cult is almost on the level of Scientology, from my research. It's really dark. And, it's taken me a really long time to actually, it's taken so long for me to be able to even talk about it. And I feel ready to talk about it, but I also feel just this, immense amount of, that heartburn, that nausea. I don't know. I really believe it's honestly, disgust. I think that, sure, it could be chemo or whatever, but this nausea that I have, if I think about the Jehovah's Witnesses, and if I think about how I was treated, and I think about what they did, and I think about what I saw, I can just say that if I continue to do it, I could definitely lose 10 pounds in a week. But that's not healthy. You shouldn't starve yourself to lose weight. So, yeah. I will expand more on details. It's just that for me, this is my first time saying anything. It's taken me a long time. And I really had to find ways to be less angry, and it's taken a lot of that. That took a long time. It took a really long time for me to not be angry, to be able to talk about it maturely and constructively. So that's why I'm doing it right now. It took me a while, but they didn't They didn't win. They didn't get a chance to silence my voice. And I'll call them out because they are disgusting, gross pedophiles. And they're using the religious tax exemption and everything to literally get away with it. And I promise you, there are so many victims of sexual abuse. It's disgusting. I mean, I know that people are looking at Epstein files and everything, and I totally understand. I haven't really been able to dip into that because I've been kind of just figuring out this whole Jehovah's Witness thing for myself, because but I mean, I'm not trying to say that like that the Jehovah's Witnesses are like Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, I'm not trying to like make comparisons like that. I'm just saying that the amount of cover-ups and the amount of sexual abuse that has been done has not even the surface of the actual truth has been scratched. What you can find online is just is honestly just it's a blade of grass on the entire lawn. It's not, you won't unfortunately know what it's like unless you've actually been there. But I have no problem telling everybody what it's like inside the Kingdom Hall. I just think that I need to throw up first.